The kitchen is the heart, I think, of any home.
It's very cheerful. It's a bit like living inside the middle of an egg yolk.
You dump everything here and you don't worry about it until the following day in the morning.
Being able to just turn from your prep area to the stove is so useful.
So as with many kitchens, this is the heart of the house. It sits between the living room and the snug room, and it's just lovely that everyone can kind of meet in the middle. But if someone's over there and I'm making some food here, you can have a conversation and it's all very communal. I love sitting around with lots of people. The table itself is so beautiful that it's so aged and has lots of patina in it. And it's just a great place to prep and get ready for a lovely evening. Scarlett and I wanted to bring quite a lot of texture into the kitchen, just as a theme through the whole house. And I found this beautiful kind of butter sink at a reclamation yard. So it kind of started with the process of that. And then we looked at this poured concrete, which I love because it just anchors the whole kitchen. And then we added the aged reclamation wood, which gave it everything just such a beautiful texture. And then we have lovely open shelves and paintings just to make it feel more like a room rather than a kind of all singing, all dancing, lots of appliances kitchen. The red quarry tiles are traditionally used in houses in Norfolk, but I wanted to use them up here because I spent a lot of time in my childhood in Norfolk, so it was a very personal reminder of the kitchen floors I used to see up there, and I just love the colour here, it's so pretty.
The kitchen is the heart, I think, of any home, especially when you have children. This is just the most wonderful table for having people to dinner, and I've had lots and lots of dinner parties or supper parties. And we were really lucky that it had this lovely stone flagged floor already, so that's absolutely great. I found these wonderful old Delft tiles, so that's like a tiny little concession to practicality, so it doesn't splash all over the wall. Decoration should always come first. And I've continued that through the kitchen. I've put all the dogs together. I've got these lovely wood carvings that I've collected. Then I found that this is like an old glass lampshade under here, but I don't know how, but it got cracked. And so then I got someone to make this and add it on, which I love. We did have a lovely plum tree, but it blew down half in a storm, and we used to use the ladder to pick all the plums, but I've now got a son who's mad about making things, so he's often using that. During the flood, the oil that was there got damaged, and it was an oil one, so then I was able to get rid of the oil tank and put in this electric one. I was very lucky. I was able to ask my, which has now become a wonderful friend, Emma Burns of Supple to help me. And she came up with the design for the new unit, and it was brilliant. I always say this cottage, it's super modern in terms of comfort, but you wouldn't really see that, and it just feels like it's lots of antiques and lovely things that I love. I love making cakes, and I've always made loads of cakes, but I have never been able to ice like Maria.
This is the room we live in most of the time, I'd say that. I sort of spend most of my life working at the kitchen table, and we've got the sofa at the end, which is very much now the home of the dogs as well as Charlie and I. We just went bright yellow, high gloss, and it's a bit like living inside the middle of an egg yolk. It's kind of, even on the greyest day, it's very cheerful, and you come down in the morning and it is a happy space to be in. It's probably the least kind of fitted kitchen that you could imagine. When I got here, there was just this fantastic array of cupboards. It's like a kind of messy old shoe. The china collection, which grows and grows and grows, it just goes on, and sort of pots and pans. It's an addiction, and we can't quite stop it. But I guess it's a healthy addiction in a way. That I've got a real passion for typography, in particular for letterpress printing, and if I see it somewhere, I can't resist an old poster. This is our wedding invitation, entertainment and live camels. So that was our wedding party invitation, which was designed by me, in fact.
This is the perennially warm room in the house. It is useful not just for cooking, but as you can see as well, it is absolutely handy for very cold whippets. When I design this kitchen, and what I tend to do when I design kitchens, I tend to play with colors. So we can actually make a differentiation between different parts of the kitchen, and it doesn't feel so monotonally like a big block of color. Proportions are key when designing a room. And this little dresser is one of the very examples. It is a Welsh canopy dresser. And this part of the house is what I call the cottage rooms. The ceilings are much lower. The important aspect of this dresser is that it's very low and therefore it has to be a little bit narrower. Another thing that I'm very much into is Staffordshire pottery, 19th century. These particular hens, which are really bold and they have the face of a perpetually surprised hen. And these wonderful Prince of Wales, which I adore the colours in particular. For me, they are absolutely essential for an English country look. Another thing that I'm very much into collecting is mochaware, 18th and 19th century mochaware. They were used to serve pints in pubs effectively. Originally, I started sort of gathering them on eBay and they were very, very easy to find. These days, they are ridiculously expensive, so I think I have to move to a different type of pursuit. This is our pantry or utility room, and it is the most useful room in the house, particularly if you like entertaining. You can prepare things here, you can hold all your food, it's very easy and it's very comfortable. But the reason why it's incredibly useful is because once you have had dinner, you dump everything here and you don't worry about it until the following day in the morning, which is really wonderful. It is an incredibly useful room. All the shelves are exposed. You don't have to have troubles opening doors. And it's very, very practical. It's also a very cool house. We removed all the heatings in here, so all the food can keep a very good room temperature.
This seemed like the right place for the kitchen to us because it had the French doors leading to the garden. We're in and out with the garden, in and out with the dogs, going backwards and forwards with the horses, because everything just needs to be wipeable, washable, moppable. I think a country house kitchen is freestanding, not even units, it's sort of freestanding cabinetry. It's utilitarian, yes, it's a bit sort of Downton Abbey, but like the staff quarters, which I quite like. But I can't resist a bit of decoration. And when I see these sorts of tiles, they're antique tiles. I can't resist something like this. They're Portuguese, early 1700s. To me, it's sort of that carpet effect. The paintings are still lives, which I think are quite appropriate for sort of kitchen dining space. The wood-burning stove was here when we arrived, and it was made by the blacksmith in the neighbouring village. If I get the fires really going, it's pretty toasty and warm.
I love to cook and I use this space, I think, most of all in the house. I love this colour called Wet Sand by Farrow & Ball. I prefer a kitchen that has pictures on the walls. Above the cooker's a painting that I did. It's based on a trattoria that I love in Rome. It kind of captures the general hustle and bustle of a proper home-run Roman kitchen. My dresser has Staffordshire pottery that I love. It's got my favourite pottery, which is Royal Crown Derby unfinished. It's the Amari pattern before all of the wild gilding is applied. It's a country kitchen and this is definitely far too grand a piece of furniture for it, but I think I just about get away with it. When I moved in, Matthew had a pew left over from where he used to have a big barn where he did his entertaining. We had a local craftsman cut the bench down and fit quite neatly into this little alcove space. This came from my mum's house. I used to do school prep at this table and it's been with me for quite a long time and I still work at it today. The snakes were a late night impulse after a glass of wine and I'm very glad that I did it. The lobster is one of my favourite purchases. It came from Lisbon where I was travelling. It's a beautiful pottery shop right in the middle of town. I believe it was cast by about 15 individual pieces by a guy who was now reaching his late 80s. When entertaining, this mini bar cum pantry cupboard is my secret weapon. I think everybody needs a place to dump things out of sight, and this doubles up absolutely perfectly, as well as keeping all nice bottles of white wine chilled.
I love cooking on the Argo, but I've also got a gas hob and an electric oven. So I've just got a prep sink that I bought from Christopher Hale, trying to emulate what they did with that plain English kitchen at Hale, where it's nice and high and it's beautiful and wide so I can lay all my vegetables out and clean them in there. And then on the right is the herb garden, so I can just pop out and pick herbs as I need them for my cooking. I've cooked in a restaurant where they used to use a lot of copper pots and pans. I find that they conduct heat really well, and also they look quite nice when they're just hanging up. The idea of being able to just turn from your prep area to the stove is so useful. I always have a KitchenAid, which I love, but I don't like having too many gadgets and accessories on show.
We tried to save and reuse as much as we could that we found in the house. So these kitchen cabinets were like over there, jammed between these 1970s Formica fitted kitchen units, and we hauled them out and painted them and moved them and give them a sort of second life. So these are like bedside cabinets from eBay for about 150 quid. These are 2 old French dressers that probably cost 300 quid each, that we adjusted the height and put together and went to Swanley where the stone comes in and got a bit of terrazzo for the marble for the top. And we sort of improvised on a really low budget a kitchen that we liked, basically.
We invested more in the paint. As the kitchen evolved, then one Sunday I said, Rob, let's turn the clock into a sun. We just end up basically always
painting on the walls, basically.
We just can't help it.